the holiday weekend. Not really much of a holiday for us, though, right? You work in the DFS space. No holidays are really hell. You and I have been trading off Christmas articles and Easter articles for how long now?
Yeah, it's pretty similar to working in the restaurant industry. You just don't get weekends aren't weekends and holidays aren't holidays.
Yeah, pretty much. But here we are, and we got a lot to talk about. Before we get into all of the actual games, Josh, I don't know if your camera's supposed to be on or not.
Yeah, so we can still see you, Josh.
But he's probably not. I think we're good outside.
I get to it eventually.
He was doing some weird stuff over there. Just based on this slate, yesterday we had a Coors slate, 19 total runs scored. Today, another game with a 14.5 total, both of them between the Pirates and the Rockies. How likely are you to pay for pitching on a night where we've got, on DraftKings, 6 guys above 10K? Yes, I'm including Miley because he's there. On FanDuel, you've got 5 above 10K, but the pricing is a lot flatter and a lot less extreme. And the same thing really on Yahoo, not nearly as extreme pricing, where Bieber's your most expensive at 52. But on DraftKings, there's some pretty wild pitcher pricing.
Yeah, I think it's pretty dependent on sites. For me on DraftKings, I don't really expect to pay up all that much because not only are there a lot of offenses that I really want to go to and not much in the way of cheap pitching that I feel good about, but while I really like Shane Bieber, he's still really expensive. And, Bumgarner's priced up, Miley's priced up. Bauer has his own issues. It's not like there's a Verlander versus Detroit at the top. So I don't really anticipate paying up all that much there outside of, maybe if I get to some cheap stacks and they just fit in. But like on Yahoo, I think it's easier where, you're not even really paying up. Like Bauer's $39. Yeah. Bieber's only 52 or whatever. So I think pretty site dependent. I think it's probably easiest on Yahoo to get to good pitching.
Could even make an argument for like a Gibson who's 33 and
right
on DraftKings is 95. So the pricing is vastly different today. We'll make sure to incorporate that into the show and let you know where we think the best options are, not just in that matchup, but on what site are they most playable. Let's start with the Yankees in Oakland. CC Sabathia and Brett Anderson. Sabathia's home run problems have been dramatic this season. He's allowed 26 home runs already. It's been a tough go. Home run per 9 rate is through the roof. And the thing is, he's actually allowed them to lefties and righties alike. On the other side, Brett Anderson hasn't been bad, but he's still Brett Anderson going up on the road outside of Oakland against the Yankees team that really, regardless of who they run out there, tends to do a whole lot of damage and has a run total of 6 today. What are your thoughts on the pitching matchup here?
I'm not really interested in the pitching. Brett Anderson's 5,400 on DraftKings. So if you're taking a roster construction approach where you are paying up for one of the more expensive pitchers, I guess he could find his way into some lineups, but it's not something I see myself doing. He struck out 12.9% of righties this year. He's facing a Yankees team that has 5 very good right-handed hitters in the top 6, and then Didi Gregorius in there as well. Brett Gardner's not an easy out. Austin Romine's not the worst, and Talkman's fine. So it's just still a really good Yankees team. They have Luke Voit back, so the lineup's a bit better than it has been. And Anderson's expected numbers this year are a lot worse against right-handed hitters than his actual numbers, which I think makes sense given that he pitches his home games in Oakland. But he's allowed a 370 expected WOBA and a 208 expected ISO to righties compared to 328 actual WOBA and a 164 actual ISO. So I think that he hasn't even really shown. It's not like Wade Miley or something where he's not an exciting pitcher to roster, but he has at least shown the ability to limit expected production. He hasn't even really done that. So I think that the Yankees are really appealing, but I'm not interested in the pitching.
Yeah, I'm with you. When you have a 12% strikeout rate against the Yankees, things generally won't go well for you. Look, they have injuries, many of them, but it's still, as you just pointed out, a pretty dangerous lineup. Who are your favorite bats from this Yankee squad?
Torres got the lineup bump to get to the 3 spot in the order. So I like him. Gary Sanchez, because he's a catcher, I think really stands out. And then, I guess Aaron Judge would be 3rd. But I just think the positions for Torres and Sanchez make them the most appealing.
What are your thoughts on Oakland, though? Sabathia, he's not terrible, but home runs have been an issue. This is at Yankee Stadium, so you don't really get an advantage there. Oakland against lefties has been phenomenal this season. pretty low ownership today, only 2.7%. By the way, Yankees 3% ownership. So both of these seem like pretty favorable low owned stacks. What are your thoughts on Oakland here with a good park boost against the homer prone lefty?
I wouldn't be upset if I get there, but they're not really at the top of my list. I don't think the pricing is all that great. You look at the guys that you would really want. Semien, Chapman, Mark Canha are all pretty expensive. Chapman's, moderately priced, but he's not cheap. Semien and Mark Canha are both expensive. Sheldon Noose, I think, is kind of interesting, but he's hitting 8th, so it's not like it's a great spot in the order. There's just so many good offenses on the slate that I don't really think I'll get to a ton of Oakland, but I do think that Josh Phegley batting 6th is worth pointing out.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
It does give you a nice power. You have Pinder at 5 and Phegley at 6. That does give you 2 really cheap bats in nice lineup positions that have some power. So that does make it a little bit more appealing.
Yeah, I just this team against left-handed pitching is really good and happens to put up big run totals quite often. So I just think because of the low ownership, you could put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if this specific game saw a lot of runs on both sides. Getting to them, I guess, could be another story, but neither spot is all that daunting for these offenses. Let's talk about the the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies. Another good park, another poor park shift for New York Mets pitching. Aaron Nola at home is 11-3 on DraftKings. He's 10-4, second highest priced pitcher on FanDuel, and on Yahoo, he's tied with Bieber as your highest priced pitcher at 5,200. It feels as good as Nola's been over the past couple of months. It feels kind of unnecessary to get there.
Yeah, I agree. It's not a great spot against the Mets. They don't have Wilson Ramos in the lineup, so that is a little bit of a bump for Nola, but still not a ton of strikeouts and also some good hitters. 1 through 3, McNeil, Alonso, and Conforto were all good. But J.D. Davis doesn't strike out a ton. Joe Panik's a really tough strikeout. Rosario doesn't strike out a ton. So just not a great spot, and he's not really priced down either. So it would be one thing if you were getting him for even the same salary as Trevor Bauer, or a little bit cheaper. But where he is right now, I have him projected currently for less points than Bieber, Bauer, Bumgarner, Fried even. So that makes it really difficult.
Zack Wheeler had been really consistent and reliable this season. Recently, he's run into a bit of trouble. He said last time the four-seamer wasn't going where he needed it to. Game before that, his command was off. Someone that had routinely gone 7, 6 1/3, 6 2/3 innings, what felt like almost every start. He hasn't looked the same recently. He is discounted though. And by the way, he faced Atlanta twice in his last 3 games, so I'll certainly give him a pass there. What do you make of Zack Wheeler at $9K on DraftKings? On FanDuel, 8,800, and on Yahoo, Wheeler is 38, which is with Trevor Bauer's price. We don't really need to talk much about that.
Right. I'm not too concerned by his recent starts. I mean, like you said, 2 were against Atlanta, and we're talking about 3 starts. But I still don't think I'm really going to get to a lot of him. When I did the show with Josh this morning, I thought that I would get more than it looks like I will. It's just a price point that I don't think I'm getting to a ton. And when I do, it'll probably be either Sanchez against the Marlins or Gibson against the Tigers. I have both of those guys projected ahead of Wheeler. So it's just tough to get there. If you wanted to make the ownership argument, I guess you could. I'm assuming he's not going to have tons of ownership, but it's not like it's a great spot against Philly. They have a 5 implied run total. I don't think it's like, if he ends up in some tournament lineups, I don't think it's bad. I don't think he's like a bad play at this salary. It's just that I don't think I'm getting to a lot.
Yeah, I started writing him up in the deep dive today, and the further I went, like the less interested I was in him. And one of the reasons for that stood out to me is the Phillies implied total is a lot higher than I thought it would be against somebody like Zack Wheeler. What is it at?
5.
5. And I think it opened quite a bit lower than that. But yeah, 5 run total against Wheeler it's kind of concerning. It seems unusual that it would be that high. Do you have any interest in bats? Because each of these pitchers are good, even if we're not rostering them.
So I agree with your point about the run total. It's just one of those where it happens every so often where like you have an idea in your head, especially at this point of the season, of where a total is going to be. Yep. And then you look at it and it's just like, that's
yeah. What do you think? 4-4 or something, right?
4-6, 4-7. Yeah.
Okay, a little higher than I thought, but yeah, not 5.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just one of those, I don't have data on, I've never tracked, when that happens, is it more likely than not that, it comes through or whatever, but it definitely just seemed off to me. So yeah, I'm not really on the bats though. It's a good hitter's park, but it looks like it's only 79, 80 degrees here. And there are just so many good hitter spots on the slate that don't involve taking hitters against Zack Wheeler or Aaron Nola.
All right. Let's move to the next one then. Washington, Miami. How about that Duggar fella yesterday?
That was fun.
Yeah. I saw you towards the top for a while with the Duggar lineup.
Yeah, I had like 43% on DraftKings.
Did you?
Yeah. Finished like 20th, I think.
Nice. Which, yeah, I mean, what's 20th nowadays in that? Like
$200.
200?
Yeah.
I didn't know you liked Duggar. I guess I heard
I didn't like Duggar.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, but I guess it was pretty much where you had to get there. Derek Rodriguez finished with what, like 4?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I mean, my 3 highest owned pitchers were Hernandez, Duggar, and Rodriguez. It clearly wasn't about pitching talent. It was about hitters.
Yeah, no question. You just had to get any bats in. And obviously, when you look at what happened in Coors, that was the right decision. I even had some lineups cash with easily cash with Rodriguez in there just because it was, Newman and everyone else from that game.
Right.
Sanchez, Alicia, Hernandez. I want to kind of get into the weeds with Sanchez for a minute here because he is not discounted on DraftKings whatsoever. He's 8,800, but he's still projected to get some ownership because he's facing the Miami Marlins. I personally think, if you're playing cash games, someone like Sanchez makes a lot more sense because he's been reliable, but he has not been a high upside guy. And he's got a 20% K rate, which, is hardly encouraging. But right now he's getting, the second highest pitcher ownership on DraftKings. Earlier in the day, he was the highest projected owned pitcher on FanDuel. Now he's the second at 15%. And on Yahoo, Sanchez is also coming in, I think, around 15%. Yeah, 15%. So what do you make of him? Look, he hasn't been bad, but he's got a 5x FIP. Some of the numbers are a little bit alarming, but on the whole, he hasn't been that bad.
Yeah, he's not bad. The Marlins obviously aren't good. It's a positive park shift for them getting out of Miami, but still a lot of right-handed hitters here. No Garrett Cooper in the lineup is kind of a mixed bag for Sanchez. He's one of Miami's best hitters, but he also is one of their higher strikeout percentages. But you still have strikeouts in there. Jorge Alfaro jumped up to 5th in the order. So that's a 30+% strikeout guy hitting 5th. Lewis Brinson's in the lineup, and then you have the pitcher spot. But at the top, it's not a ton of strikeouts. So that's, not the most appealing. And as long as he's getting high ownership, I think I end up coming in underweight at the elevated price tags because it's just that I think he's priced correctly for the matchup. I think that when you start talking about an $8,800 pitcher that strikes out 20.5% of hitters, the chances of him breaking the slate are a lot lower than the chances of him giving you a mediocre performance.
Exactly, which is why I think he's a lot more suitable for cash.
Right. Yeah, like just play the ownership there. It's fine. He projects reasonably well. I also think on FanDuel he stands out because he's only 7,700.
Yeah.
But on DraftKings, if he's going to get ownership, then I probably end up coming in underweight.
Like this is kind of one of those spots where Wheeler at 200 more, even if the matchup isn't as favorable, to me in tournaments, you could make that argument. A few guys here that just seem like they might not be in as great a spots, but at least have some upside.
Yeah. We have Wheeler at the same ownership on DraftKings now.
Oh, did he come up? Oh,
yeah, they're both at 19 now.
Oh, well, he was a lot lower earlier.
Okay. Yeah, I just refreshed it as we were talking about this game and saw that. So
wow. Okay. Yeah, Wheeler was at 13% earlier, and Sanchez was above 20. So all right, well, things change, and we continue to update throughout the day. That changes my opinion a little bit on that. Let me ask you this then: who do you think, if you had to make a comparably priced pivot, would it be like a Gibson? Hudson's prices is wild at 92. Wheeler at 9K. What do you think? Anyone below him?
I mean, I think Fried's the best pitcher on the slate, but
I agree with you. Yeah, and that's also why he's getting the most. No pitcher on DraftKings is projected above 20% outside of Fried, who's at 48%.
Right. Yeah, I think that he's not a secret. But as far as the pivots go, if you look at guys in that price range, I have where do you go? I have Sanchez at like 17.5 DraftKings points. I have Gibson at 19.1, and I have Wheeler at 16. So I guess I prefer Gibson. Or sorry, not Gibson. I prefer Sanchez if they're all going to have equal
similar ownership. Yeah, it's definitely surprising. You can tell just based on ownership that outside of Fried, there is no clear-cut pitcher that just stands out to everyone.
Right. This slate's really comparable to the Brendan McKay slate from a couple weeks ago, where DraftKings priced up every single pitcher except they left McKay at 7,500.
Yeah,
and that was the start against the Mariners, where McKay got he pitched terribly, but he also had 3 errors and a blown strikeout call in the first inning or something.
Yeah, he got rocked though, right?
He also got hit hard, yeah, but it was inning should have been over, and then he gave up
right. Yeah. He just couldn't control it once it wasn't over. Yeah,
exactly.
What are your thoughts on Alicia Hernandez at a discounted price? Any interest here on a Coors slate?
A little bit, just because there's not a lot of upside at the bottom. John Means getting the start for the Orioles takes away some of my interest in Hernandez. It is a really, really tough spot against the Nats, but he just has better strikeout stuff than the other pitchers in that price range. On the season, he has struck out 20. He has, I think it was the 10th highest strikeout percentage on the slate at 25%, 4.37 Sierra. He at least gives you some upside for that price tag. So it's not a safe spot, but I can see getting some.
Okay. Yeah, earlier in the day, and last night, we didn't know who was pitching for Baltimore. Was thinking it might have been Bundy. Probably would have had some interest in Bundy had he been on this slate.
Yeah, I mean, I have interest in Means too, but I would have had interest in Bundy.
Yeah. Well, Means is getting quite a bit, surprising amount of ownership here, 15% on DraftKings because of that price point. But yeah, being 2K cheaper definitely makes a difference. Any bats stand out from you, particularly from the Washington side?
I think if the Nats aren't going to get a lot of ownership, they're pretty interesting. Hernandez, I think, is a decent pitcher, but he's far from a sure thing, and the Miami bullpen's not very good. And we talk about it every day. The Nats have a really nice combination of guys that can put the ball in play and power in this lineup. Suzuki's in the lineup, which is appealing. I love when he catches. Matt Adams is back. You have Rendon, Soto, and Turner in there. So I don't think it's the highest probability spot, obviously, because we have Coors, we have the Twins. But if the Nats are going to go overlooked, then I like them in tournaments.
All right. Next game.
Oh, sorry. I'll say right now, the stack tool for DraftKings has them. Whoa. We have really high ownership on Washington right now. That's weird.
Do we? Not really.
Maybe I didn't. I've
Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe it updated since I did it 15 minutes ago. Let's see.
14%.
Wait.
Maybe I'm on FanDuel.
DraftKings main slate has Washington.
Okay, there we go.
Stacks at 5%.
Yeah, I think I was on FanDuel.
Okay. Talk to me about Toronto and Houston. Unfortunately, no Toro in the lineup. So if you were looking to get that cheap bat in there again, it won't be the case. But there's a lot of cheap bats, particularly on DraftKings and FanDuel. Wade Miley, 10K. I'm not even going to go over this dude's price. Just trust me when I say that it's up there and it shouldn't be where it is. Trent Thornton against Houston. Any pitching interest, Adam?
No, not interested in the pitching here. Really tough spot for Thornton going against Houston. He's okay at pitching, but Houston obviously is a really, really tough matchup in terms of strikeouts and power. And then for Miley, just doesn't offer the strikeout stuff that I want to pay up for, especially on a slate like this where I'm having trouble finding reasons to pay up at all. It's certainly not going to be for Wade Miley.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine Wade Miley will be the guy today. He's just gonna,
no hitter.
11 strikeouts. It'll happen. So just do the complete opposite when it comes to Wade Miley, as either of us tell you to do. What are your thoughts on hitters? Do you have any interest? Well, we'll talk either side, but Houston first against Thornton, who really hasn't been bad against righties. If it's Houston righties against Thornton, I'm taking Houston every time. But I can't say I'm overwhelmed with this matchup. The biggest thing, though, is we reference the top stack tool a lot. Get half off all of the tools at awesemo.com with an Awesemo Plus membership by using the sign-up code DeeperDive, one word. All of the tools that Alex Baker, Awesemo himself, developed and uses every day for his own lineups are at awesemo.com. So use the code DeeperDive, get half off your first month of subscription. I don't think you'll regret it. But the one thing that stands out on his top stack tool is top stack probability, 8%, fourth highest on the day. Ownership, 3.5%, which you have to go all the way down to like the 12th team to find Houston in terms of ownership.
Yeah, and I mentioned that this morning that I think my Houston interest will really be like ultra dependent on ownership because I don't love their prices. I don't love their matchup, but they are a really good team. According to ESPN's Park Factors, Rogers Center in Toronto has been middle of the pack in terms of runs, but it's been the number one home run park in baseball this year. So that's obviously appealing. And if nobody's going to go to a team that is as talented as the Astros are,
exactly,
then I'm interested in tournaments. But I think that Thornton's a better pitcher than most people do.
No, I mean, I just said to say, like, right. I agree with you.
Yeah, so that's where it's tough for me. Like, if the ownership comes up, it's not like I have Houston projected super high, but they clearly have a really high ceiling. And if nobody wants to go there, then I will.
All right. Any interest in Houston against Miley? Because as frustrating as as ridiculous as it is that Miley's that expensive, he has been. You know how you said we get lazy sometimes and say, yeah, he's been good from a run prevention standpoint, but that is Wade Miley. And look, if he was 7,500, I would play Wade Miley a lot because I'll take my 20 to 23 fantasy points and go about my business. But at this price point, like when you say guys are priced to their ceiling, he's priced in outer space compared to his ceiling.
Yeah, he has been good at limiting damage, no question about it. And that's I don't see getting to Toronto stacks really, but I do think that you can use these guys as some cheap one-offs or even mini stacks. You know, Randal Grichuk hitting fourth at 3,400 has plenty of power. Teoscar Hernandez, I mentioned this morning, I don't get really bogged down in pitch type data, but I just happen to notice it because with Wade Miley, he throws his cutter 45% of the time. Since last season, Teoscar Hernandez has where'd it go? Teoscar Hernandez has a 380 expected WOBA, 289 expected ISO against left-handed cutters. So like he hits the pitch that Miley relies on well. That's the kind of thing where if I'm hand making a lineup, I'll use it as like a tiebreaker if I need someone in that price range. But he's also batting fifth, which is good. So that Guerrero, Grichuk, Hernandez group is really affordable for the amount of power that they give you.
Yeah, I think so too. Last I looked, they were getting a little bit of ownership, at least the Grichuks and such, but I don't know where they're at now. Just take a quick look. Where's Randal Grichuk? He is 13%. It looks like he's the only one really that's getting any ownership whatsoever too. So
I just finished a dummy crunch that I had messed up before the show, but getting tons of Houston if ownership were to stay how it is right now.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense to me. What about Tampa and Cleveland? Shane Bieber, Austin Pruitt. Bieber's really good. Highest strikeout rate, lowest xFIP, lowest whip on this slate, and there are some very good pitchers. Highest swinging strike. The list goes on. But you're paying a premium for him on DraftKings. On FanDuel, there's a lot of reasonably priced pitchers, so he doesn't look as appealing at 10-6. And then on Yahoo, you've got guys like Bauer who are 39 and Gibson at 33 and a few other pitchers that are underpriced compared to where they are across the industry. So how does Bauer or Bieber come into the mix for you given his price point?
It's really tough to get there. It looks like right now I'm getting to like none on DraftKings. I think that he's obviously a really, really good pitcher. It's a really good park for pitchers. It's an okay matchup, but it's just so hard in tournaments to devote that much money to a pitcher outside of the best spots, especially on a slate where there are so many bats to pay for. So, if he throws a complete game shutout and gets 45 points and you have to have him, then so be it. But it doesn't look like I'm getting much there. On FanDuel, it's probably a little bit easier just because their hitter pricing generally is softer. But I think you'll still kind of run into the same issues where he's expensive and so are the hitters that you want to play. 52 on Yahoo shouldn't be that difficult to get to, especially because their SP2s are priced down more, $33 for Gibson, for example. But even there, where it's 52 for Bieber or 39 for Bauer, if the weather cooperates for Bauer, I think that the edge is still going to Bauer.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a big game from Bieber. But then again, it goes back to the point you made at the first minute of the show. It's not a Verlander versus Detroit spot either.
Right.
What are you thinking? What's your thinking on hitters? Is there any hitting interest here?
No, I'm not really getting to much of anything. I don't think Austin Pruitt's any good, but the park isn't great for hitting. The Indians have decent price tags, but they don't stand out as great values to me. So I don't really see getting there.
All right. Talk to me about this next game then. Detroit and Minnesota. Kyle Gibson, Edwin Jackson. That's exciting. Minnesota ownership, just because of Coors, is lower than I would have originally expected. It's 6%. Top stack chance 10 though, and this is just such a stellar matchup for them that if it wasn't a Coors slate, I can only imagine how popular they'd actually be. But we'll get to them in a moment. Let's talk about Gibson. I will mention his pricing across all three sites because it's very relevant. On DraftKings, he's at 95. On FanDuel, you've got Gibson at 84, which is, I think, pretty reasonable. And then 33 on Yahoo, which is really discounted given the matchup. Now, he struggles to go deep into games. It's obviously an issue of his. I think he's gone less than 6 innings in like 15 of 25 starts or something a little concerning. But he's also not a terrible strikeout pitcher. He does have a decent ceiling, and it is a matchup against easily one of the worst teams in baseball that you mentioned. Yes, you're down Goodrum for the year. Castellanos is in Chicago. Is Miggy in the lineup today?
I think so.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. So, and he was day to day. Might not be a big deal, but he's not a super high strikeout guy. Just look at this lineup: Victor Reyes, Willie Castro, Harold Castro, Ronnie Rodriguez. They brought Harold Castro's brother off the street. Del Lugo, Jordy Mercer, Demerite, John Hicks, Jake Rogers. They don't have a single player on this active roster with a WRC plus above 96 versus righties. That's insane.
Yeah, it's a really good spot for Gibson, obviously. I'm not getting to much on DraftKings because he is more expensive than Sanchez and Fried and Wheeler. But Yahoo, I would expect to get a ton at $33. There's no real reason not to. He's kind of like the Max Fried, the Max Fried equivalent on Yahoo to what Fried is on DraftKings. So I really like him there. On FanDuel, I think his salary is okay, but FanDuel has Dinelson Lamet in that mid-range, who I really like at his price. So I think Gibson is most appealing on Yahoo, then FanDuel, then DraftKings.
I do as well. But I kind of find myself at times coming around to him a little bit more on DraftKings. But I want to see what the final run looks like on ownership between him and Anibal Sanchez.
Sure.
So I guess we'll see what happens there. Thinking on this Minnesota Twins team against Edwin Jackson, where are you going here?
Not getting a ton right now, but I'm hoping that changes. I think that if my Houston will end up being scaled back a little bit just because of how much it looks like I'm getting, and I think a lot of that probably goes to Minnesota. We have them coming in under-owned. They are in a great spot against Edwin Jackson, obviously. Just not a good pitcher, not a good bullpen behind them. They have the highest run total outside of Coors, and the lineup is a good one. They had some questionable guys today. There's no Marwin Gonzalez, but we got Kepler in the lineup. Sano's back in the lineup. So it's just a really, really high upside lineup, and I obviously like them a lot.
Okay. Anything else? Any interest in these terrible Detroit hitters?
No. They're real bad.
They are really bad. Atlanta and the White Sox, Max Fried, as we alluded to earlier, a lot of ownership. 48% right now projected on DraftKings. Even on FanDuel at 8,800, he's coming in as the 6th highest projected pitcher, which I think that's a little bit weird. And then on Yahoo, where he's 43, he's 20%. But we've talked about mostly thus far all of the good priced pitchers being on draft or FanDuel or Yahoo. A little bit different here, Adam. Max Fried is clearly more favorably priced on DraftKings than anywhere else.
Yeah, and it's not even just a price play. Like I have him projected as one of the highest scoring pitchers on the slate, and it's just amplified on DraftKings because his price tag is too low while every other pitcher on the slate is too high. So that makes it even more obvious. But like I have him projected as the fourth highest raw scorer. So it's not like it's just a point per dollar play for me. I think it's a decent matchup against the White Sox. They are better against left-handed pitching, as you would expect with the right-handed bats they have in this lineup. But Fried has the best barrels per batted ball percentage among all qualified starters this year.
Yeah. What is it, 2.6% or something?
3.7.
Is it 3.7? Yeah, it's ridiculously low.
Yeah. So, really good there. He's got really good stuff too. And he started out this season with a, kind of mediocre strikeout percentage and his walks were down. And it seemed like maybe he just was more like doing the run prevention thing that we see pitchers try and do sometimes. But since the start of June, his slider usage has essentially or almost doubled. From the start of the season through the end of May, he was at around 10% slider usage. Since then, he's at about 18.5%. His strikeout percentage has gone from about 21% over the first couple months to a little over 25% since then. His xFIP's dropped from 3.64 to 3.31. So you're seeing more strikeouts from him, and there's a reason for it. So all that put together, I just think that it's the spot where it burned me on McKay the other 2 weeks ago or whatever, but I said then that if that slate played out 100 times, I would still just jam in a bunch of McKay. And it's the same thing for me here. I'm getting around 80% Fried on DraftKings, and I'm perfectly fine with that. On Yahoo and FanDuel, obviously you're going to get less because he doesn't stand out at his salary, above some of the cheaper pitchers. But I would still be fine getting to some just because, again, I think he is one of the highest scorers on the slate.
Yeah. By the way, 2.6 is barreled balls per plate appearance.
Okay.
Which also leads the league.
Yeah.
He's
by the way, Wade Miley is sixth in barrels per batted ball.
Sixth lowest?
Yeah, Sanchez is fifth.
Well, it kind of makes sense because neither are high strikeout guys. Right. You got to do something, right?
Yeah, it's Fried, Soroka, Stroman, Syndergaard, Sanchez, Miley.
Yeah, interesting. But no, Fried's been good, and you're right. It's not just about the price, but at that price, he's really, really favorable. But I say that too, especially because, Anibal Sanchez, fairly priced, maybe a bit overpriced, but fairly priced in the matchup. Gibson, probably overpriced. A lot of who else? Miley, definitely overpriced. Zach Gallen against the Dodgers, 9,800. Like Dakota Hudson's 92. You see what I'm saying here? It's strange that Fried would only be 7,500 in another really good matchup.
Yeah, exactly.
What are your thoughts on the Atlanta pitching or Atlanta hitting against Ivan Nova?
I'm getting to a pretty good amount of Atlanta right now. I don't think that they're not getting much ownership. They have obviously really good hitters in their lineup. Freddie Freeman, I'm getting a lot of. He's my highest owned first baseman right now. Albies is top 5. Acuna is showing up in like 15%. So they're looking like probably my like number 5 stack or something like that.
Okay. Do you have anything else on this game you want to touch on?
I don't think so. From a strategy standpoint, Josh and I talked about it this morning, leverage stacking the White Sox and because of Fried's ownership on DraftKings. And while I do think that's viable since he's going to be like 50% owned, the reason I don't love it on this slate is just the size of the slate and the opportunity cost. Like, the White Sox can make Fried have a bad game, but they can still very easily not be necessary to win this slate because Coors blows up or the Twins blow up or one of these other 27 teams blow up. So I would be a lot more interested if the slate were smaller.
Okay. Rangers in Seattle. This is kind of a fun game to talk about. Colby Allard, Marco Gonzalez, not because of Marco Gonzalez either, but the reason I say that is because the Mariners have so many injuries to their better players, which most are right-handed, that they're forced to run out 4 or 5 lefties every day against lefties, Adam. They have 5 lefties in the lineup. No, wait. They have 6 lefties in the lineup today. 6. Did you know that?
I hadn't looked at the lineup, but Yeah.
Now you know that. No, I mean, really, I'm asking you, serious. Have you seen a lineup that wasn't the Mariners that had 6 lefties against the lefty all year long?
Not that I can remember.
Probably not, right? Like it's pretty unlikely that that would be the case. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong. I think the Rockies did it when Story was out,
Actually, yeah, I remember that.
and but it's rare, and you don't
And like
see it.
if the Dodgers do it, it doesn't count because they're all just really good hitters.
That's a good, yeah, exactly. I don't even count their hand in this anymore. They
Right.
shouldn't even show it. Uh, but it seemed like the Mariners with 6 lefties against the lefty. It is not a good park for pitching. We know that. But Kobe Allard has actually looked pretty decent, and he's at a couple of tough spots. Now, maybe he can't hang at this park. It's very possible. Three of the 4 starts he made came on the road, and 3 of those 4 all 3 of them were pretty good. His only really bad start was at home against the Angels. But I do want to talk about him a little bit here because there are 6 lefties against the lefty, and he's striking out 24+% of batters, which I should preface this with, I think it'll come down. His AAA numbers weren't that good, but just a really bad lineup for Seattle.
Yeah, I think that Allard's kind of interesting. I don't think it's a spot that I get to, but if you're hand building some lineups and you decide that you need a mid-range pitcher and you want someone low owned, I think he's kind of interesting just because of all the lefties, like you said. It's a pretty decent strikeout spot. And while his strikeout numbers aren't great in the minors, they're not bad either. He's also only 22, so he's young for every level he's pitched at. But also looking at his splits in the minors, he's been around the strikeout per inning against lefties, and he's been well below that against righties. So as you would expect, the strikeout numbers should tick up if he's facing a bunch of left-handed hitters. So all those things are appealing. If he were a little bit cheaper, I would be more interested. The park obviously doesn't do him any favors either, but I do think that it's at least something you can consider pivoting to.
Yeah.
It's just not it's not one of the spots that I expect to be taking.
No, it's not ideal. There's no question, but it's also not terrible. He's 31 on Yahoo, which I think is kind of interesting. Um, I just think this is one of the best matchups a lefty could get all season. So it's worth discussing. But there's a high total for the Mariners. It is a bad park. I totally understand all of those points. I also think that if there was ever a spot at home where he was actually going to do well, it would be this particular spot. All right. What are your thoughts on Marco Gonzalez?
Really, really good matchup. Texas is pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Park's not great. Strikeout numbers aren't great. Salary is jacked up on the one site where we would like to find a mid-range pitcher that isn't popular. So that makes it tough for me to get to. Like at the end of the day, I like the matchup, but I just expect to kind of be playing chalk pitching and being different with bats today.
Okay. Do you like hitters here? It is Globe Life Park.
Looks like I'm getting a good amount of Seattle. I don't really agree with that, and I think it probably changes before lock. But Tommy Murphy's coming in like as one of my higher owned catchers, so that I think is pulling up my Seattle stacks. But it is a good park. Allard's pretty mediocre overall, so it's not crazy, I guess. But I don't think that I'll end up getting as much as I have in my initial crunch.
Okay. Do you want to talk about anything else from this game?
We do have Seattle on DraftKings being under-owned, according to Stack Tool also.
All right.
Nick Solak batting cleanup is a really good value option at second base.
Yeah, I think so too. You've got him discounted a lot. Marco Gonzalez, I mean, look, he's okay, but there's really nothing about him that should scare you at Globe Life, 90+ degree temperatures. He really isn't a terrible pitcher, but I don't have a lot of confidence in him tonight at all. And from a fantasy standpoint, there's just not a whole lot that stands out about this guy. I know he's had some solid performances recently, but I believe almost all of them have been at home and against bad teams. Yeah, all of them have been at home. This is a totally different scenario here for Marco Gonzalez. Okay. Kansas City, Baltimore, Eric Skoglund, John Means. You talked about John Means earlier in the show. Let's go a little bit further with this. What are your thoughts here? $6,100 on DraftKings is not that expensive. He definitely hasn't looked as good as he did earlier in the year, but he's available and he's cheap. By the way, is he not on Yahoo?
Not sure.
I
He's
swear.
probably just not listed.
Oh, you know what? No, I don't have it checked. No, I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Means, especially on DraftKings, I expect to be my second highest owned pitcher behind Fried. I know he's getting some ownership. Kansas City ran out about as right-handed a lineup as they can. They only have two lefties in there, which is really frustrating because he struck out 26% of lefties compared to 17% of righties this year. But he's still a pretty average pitcher. He's got one of the better changeups in baseball. His fastball has more movement than people realize, so it's a little bit better pitch than your standard 92 mile an hour fastball. But really, it just comes down to the salary and the matchup. Kansas City doesn't have a lot of good hitters. Merrifield, Soler, Dozier are all scary at the top, but beyond that, you don't have a whole lot here. And it's just you need to save money somewhere. And I think Means is cheap enough that he's going to be my second highest owned pitcher.
It's really interesting. He's not in the player pool on Yahoo.
It's weird.
Kind of weird, yeah. What type of exposure did you have to him in that dummy lineup or a dummy crunch?
Like 50%.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like Fried 80, Means 50, and then kind of spread out among all the other cheap guys.
Okay, that's comforting.
Yeah.
Thoughts on hitters here, Baltimore or Kansas City? Let's start with the Baltimore hitters against the lefty.
I think they're okay as filler. Anzer Alberto leading off has multi-position eligibility. He's a good hitter. He doesn't have a lot of power, but puts the ball in play. And Mancini's obviously good. Nunez has some power, but overall, it's just not the most appealing spot on this slate, I don't think.
Do you have any interest in Kansas City against John Means?
I like Merrifield, Soler, and Dozier. That mini stack's pretty appealing, but I think that they probably get a little too much ownership also.
Okay. Looking at ownership on this game for hitters, we already talked about Means getting a decent amount of ownership. Kansas City, second highest owned team on the slate right now. This is quite incredible. Very seldom do you see this on the top stack tool. 9.6% ownership. Top stack probability, 1%. That's crazy. I mean, it's just, I get that some of these guys are affordable, and honestly, I don't think they're terrible plays. I would have preferred him against Bundy just given the homer issues. But man, if there was ever a team just based on that to stay away from, Kansas City sure feels like it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Baltimore stacks, 3% ownership. Not a lot down there in the middle. So there you have it. Kansas City and Baltimore. John Means, Adam Scher's second highest owned pitcher at the current time.
I doubt that changes, but yeah, at the current time.
Well, you got to,
Yeah, of course.
Got to put that disclaimer out there. St. Louis and Cincinnati, Trevor Bauer, Dakota Hudson. Bauer's $39 on Yahoo. Listen, Adam, I get it. By the way, you want to talk about straight Jekyll and Hyde since coming to Cincinnati? I mean, there's no gray area here, black or white. He's made 5 starts. In 3 of those starts, he hasn't gone 5 innings. He's allowed 19 runs and struck out a total of 10 batters. In the other 2 starts, he's gone 7 innings in each with 11 strikeouts in each. So it's been a nightmare. Well, not even a nightmare, a dream and a nightmare situation for Bauer. And if you're looking at patterns here, he's due for a good start today. What do you say? Solid analysis, right?
Yeah, there you go. There are weather concerns in this game, so that's something to keep an eye on getting closer to lock. I assume Alex will be tweeting from the Awesemo weather account, and we'll be talking about it in Slack chat. But that looks like the only game with weather issues today. So that obviously is important. Bauer is, I think, the most affordable out of the top tier pitchers on DraftKings. Like, it's either him or Bumgarner, whichever you prefer. On Yahoo, though, that price really stands out. So if the weather cooperates, I would expect Bauer to be like the number 1 pitcher on Yahoo.
Okay. And gotta be, right? Like,
yeah. If not, it's just because of recency bias.
Right. And unless you're just going from last start, recently, he's had some pretty good starts too. He's just mixed some terrible ones in there as well. And then I think an interesting thing too is the St. Louis team. You've got three lefties in the lineup: Fowler, Wong, and Carpenter. I mean, six righties. Pretty neutral park here in the summer. I don't know. I think at that price tag, I would say I would be willing to overlook the few bad starts we've seen from Trevor Bauer and take solace in knowing that he strikes out more than 30% of right-handed batters. So there's that.
Yep.
Dakota Hudson, really solid discount on DraftKings. $9,200. I mean, how do you pass that up? 87 on FanDuel. Again, don't ask me why I'm doing this. 33 on Yahoo. Like, I know he's been pretty decent lately, but 9,200 at him?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Not the worst matchup in the world, but also not the best. Joey Votto is in the lineup. Suarez, Aquino, Van Meter, those are all pretty decent hitters at the top. Galvis isn't bad. Senzel's not bad. There's no way I'm paying 9,200 for Dakota Hudson. If you can get him cheaper somewhere else, then maybe, but he's just not a high strikeout guy. And we have mid-range arms in decent spots already. So I don't really see the reason to get the Hudson.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't at all. We could have not talked about him and no one would have said anything. Do you have interest in bats?
No, not really. 4.4 implied run total for the Cards, 3.7 for the Reds. I have a lot of respect for Bauer. I have, marginal respect for Dakota Hudson. I don't really see much. Votto and Van Meter, I think, are good values.
Okay. Well, let's get to Coors. We'll spend some time here. Crack a beer. Pull out your lawn chair. Dario Agrizal, Antonio Senzatella. I mean, dude, it's even in Coors. It's not very common that at one point, I think Colorado's implied total hit 8 today. Yeah. I think it's at like 7-6 now. But I mean, shit, once you get past 7, who's counting?
Right.
And 6.6 for the Pirates. A lot of runs expected to be scored here. I want to start with the Colorado hitters: Story, McMahon, Arenado. By the way, you'll find in a moment no Blackman, Murphy, Desmond, Hilliard, Walters, Daza, and Senzatella. So here it is. Run with it, Adam. What do you got here on this total on this game for the Rockies?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn what to do here because it's obviously a great matchup for the Rockies against Agrizal. He's nothing special as a pitcher. So far in the majors this season, he struck out 11.7.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, 5.9 Sierra, 6.5 xFIP. All that's great. And the problem that you run into is ownership. And Colorado is so cheap, and Blackman not being in the lineup. For one, it takes one of their best hitters out, but for two, it just makes them an even better value stack. And so we have their top stack percentage in line with their ownership percentage. We have them as the most likely team to be the top stack. But at some point, you also, on these big slates, you just run into, they still are the highest owned team by like twice every other team. So even if they are a little bit underowned, is that the edge that you want to take, where you're still competing with, in large field tournaments, you're still competing with, let's say, 3,000 Rocky stacks for first place. So I think that it's a really scary spot to be underweight, but there are 27 other teams. And if they are going to be this much higher owned than the rest of the field, I think that I end up just hoping that they don't score 15 runs.
Yo, have you heard about these chicken sandwiches at Popeyes?
I've heard about them. I haven't tried them.
I was passing one today, going to grab a TV at Best Buy, and I know, terrible decision to buy one there, but you get impulsive.
You leave your house to buy a TV? That's
what I said. You get impulsive, and I wanted it. I wanted it now.
Okay.
Overnight shipping wasn't going to cut it. So I say, you know what? Wonder what all this rave is about. And let me try a disgusting Popeyes chicken sandwich. See if it's really better than Chick-fil-A, because Chick-fil-A is fucking delicious. Okay. Sure. Like, you don't beat Chick-fil-A, and somehow they make cups that keep your ice cold longer than a Yeti. So I said, let me try it. I go in there. They're sold out of their most popular product. There's a sign that says chicken sandwiches, be right back. So I Google this. I say, is this like a world? Is this a nationwide issue? And I come across this article that says Ten- Tennessee man sues Popeyes for selling out of chicken sandwiches, $5,000 for emotional damages. Oh, he was serious. And
That's
then he was
great.
also mad at his friend who worked at Popeyes because he told him that for $25 he'd get him some in the back of Popeye's hidden stash that they hide in the back of the building, and he just pocketed the dude's $25.
That's
Oh,
great.
what a good story. But this is the world right now, and I still haven't got to try one. Hopefully soon enough I will. And I'll let you know how it is, Adam.
Yeah, sounds good. So all I've seen is that places are selling out and that lines are out the door, and I refuse to stand in lines for anything. So I haven't tried.
Yeah, no wonder there was no line today. They got no chicken sandwiches left. I guess they didn't anticipate this being the case. What are your thoughts on Pittsburgh?
I was gonna say I forget what game we're even on.
Got to fill the time, baby.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting because they're where Colorado is like clearly a great value throughout their lineup. That's not the case for Pittsburgh. Kevin Newman, 5,200 on DraftKings, Reynolds 5,600, Marte 58, Bell 57. These guys are really, really expensive, and then the rest of the lineup just isn't very good. So kind of not going to show up in optimizers a lot, I don't think. On Yahoo, the pricing is kind of similar. Kevin Newman's a much better value there. He's $10 less expensive than Story, but Reynolds is 26, Marte's 23, Bell's 20. So they're a little easier to get to on Yahoo, but still just really, really priced up. It's a pretty good matchup against Senzatella. It's obviously a great park, and we have them with the second highest top stack percentage just behind Colorado, but like half the ownership on DraftKings right now, which I think is really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think it is too. I like the matchup more for Colorado, but
Sure,
it's still Coors Field. And Senzatella doesn't allow a ton of home runs, but he does allow a lot of extra base hits. And I mentioned this in today's article in the deep dive. Check it out on awesemo.com. Adam and I switch off each day. It's a premium article, but we put a lot of time into it. He does allow extra base hits, and Coors Field is not good for someone that gives up barreled balls, even if or not even just gives up those balls into the gap. Like, we've seen it so often. You don't need the homer to leg out a triple at Coors and score 5 runs in an inning without a home run.
Yeah, no question. And the Pirates have speed at the top too, especially with Newman and Marte. Like, they can really easily turn double into a triple, single into a double.
For sure. Favorite bats from both sides of this game?
Bell from the Pirate side, and then Murphy from the Rockies side.
Okay. Arizona and the LA Dodgers. Zach Gallen, Tony Gonzalez. Any interest in pitching here? I mean, obviously not Gallen at nearly 10K on DraftKings.
Right. Like, I think Gallen's really, really good, but
so why? Not that good against the Dodgers, though.
Yeah, don't need to pay for him here. So I don't anticipate doing that. And then Gonzalez, I think, is a little more expensive than I would like to. Arizona doesn't have a ton of strikeouts in their lineup. He generally doesn't go too deep in the games, so not really on the pitching.
Okay. What about bats?
Not really. Like, if I get to some Dodgers, I'm not upset. They are really, really inexpensive and obviously have a lot of power in their lineup, but it's also in a favorable park for pitchers. There's a lot of really good hitting spots on the slate, and I have a ton of respect for Zack Gallen.
All right. So do I. Boston and the LA Angels. Nate Eovaldi, Jose Suarez. Eovaldi, in the few appearances he's made, he's just been a home run machine. And I guess it hasn't been as bad lately. I guess when you're pitching an inning out of the bullpen, it's a lot easier not to allow power. But I wasn't really finding myself that interested in this Angels team. I'm still not. Their ownership, top stack chances, they're identical, 2.1%. Really nothing that stands out in the big way there. On the other side, slight advantage for Boston here, but nothing crazy. Not a lot of ownership. Is this a game that you like at Angel Stadium?
I'm not really getting to Boston, and I'm not super happy about that. I think that they probably go a little bit overlooked tonight because there are so many spots. We do have them projected to be a little bit underowned, and I don't think Jose Suarez is particularly good. I don't think that's a hot take either, but Boston obviously does have some really good hitters in their lineup. They're expensive enough that the ownership should stay down. So I like Boston. I just am not getting a lot right now. On the other side, I don't love the Angels, but Eovaldi has struggled a bit, like you said. Shohei Ohtani, someone pointed it out in Slack earlier, is now a first baseman on DraftKings, which I assume they did just because to alleviate the issue of them always having 4 outfielders in the top 5. So naturally, they move Albert Pujols to clean up, and you now have 2 first basemen in the top 4. But it makes it a little bit easier because now you can.
It's so absurd. And
Yeah.
why wouldn't you give him first base outfield eligibility?
Right, exactly. Like if that's what you're trying to accomplish, like
They've never
do that,
cared
'cause
about.
he doesn't play a position.
They never cared about if a guy's at the right position before.
Right, exactly. It's like just wait until NBA season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a little bit more appealing stack now though because you can play all of Goodwin, Trout, Ohtani, and Calhoun together, and they are pretty affordable. Given Trout is 5,500, but he's obviously Trout. Ohtani is sub 5K, so I think that it's okay. But just going to some other spots tonight.
Okay. On both sides?
Yeah, I would prefer the Boston side. Like I think I'd get to the Boston side before the Angel side.
All right. We got one more game to go. Let me tell you first, though, that you should sign up at Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports because week 1 of the NFL is going to be awesome. And if you're not over there yet, it's a perfect time to do so because you get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points, then YSRPs, just by signing up through us at awesemo.com. Go to awesemo.com. Get to the Spotlight Hitters article. I don't know if it's on the homepage right now, but it's in the MLB tab under articles. It's if you can navigate any simple website, you should have no trouble with this. And it's worth the $30 you can play on the site when you sign up. Find the Spotlight Hitters article and simply click the link, the Yahoo link right at the top of it, and get in there, sign up through us because the contests they've got going are huge. $1 million baller, 0% management fee. Everything that goes into it, everything we pay into it gets paid back out to us. 100K to first, 25 to entry. There's no MME, 10 entry max on all of these contests, including the millionaire one, or the $1 million baller, including the 100K, $10 entry, including the $25 or $1 25K tournament. All of them are 10 entry max. So it gives yourself a real opportunity to compete without having to throw in 150 lineups. So go to the Spotlight Hitters article. It's free. Click that Yahoo link, sign up, and get ready for the NFL season, which will be here before we know it. We're less than a week away to opening kickoff on Thursday night, and you should be excited.
I'm even excited, and it'll probably last a week, but I'm really excited.
And if you're excited, everyone should be excited.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. And by the way, hit us with a thumbs up. Click that like button if you enjoy the show and you want to help support us at Awesemo, help support the site and everything we do over here, and help us, continue to keep producing free content on YouTube. It helps us out a lot, and we greatly appreciate you. Subscribe and hit the notification bell as well while you're at it, so you always know when we're dropping new content here on the tube. All right, San Francisco, San Diego, last game here. Dinelson Lamet, Madison Bumgarner. I'm kind of interested in Bumgarner. I mean, this team lost some bodies that were pretty integral to being really good against lefties, and their strikeout rate is up. Their WRC plus is down. The park for Bumgarner is outstanding. He's been very good at home this season for obvious reasons. I actually think, looking at some of these the top price guys, that I could probably make an argument on DraftKings that Bumgarner is my favorite. And I don't know if I've rostered him more than like twice all season.
Yeah, I think the argument is basically between Bauer and Bumgarner for my favorite
Agreed,
of the guys at the top. That being said, I'm just not getting to much of any expensive pitching. I just don't have them projected high enough relative to the field that I will really get there. I think it's more of a run prevention spot than a strikeout spot. Margot's not an easy strikeout. Machado, Renfroe against lefties doesn't strike out as much. Urias isn't an easy strikeout. So it's not the most dangerous lineup, but it's also not a great strikeout spot. Bumgarner's not a great strikeout pitcher. It's more so that he's likely to give you, 7 innings and give up 1 run or something like that. But with all the expensive bats to get to, I don't think that I'm prioritizing that.
Okay. Are you prioritizing anything in this game?
I love Dinelson Lamet on FanDuel specifically.
Okay.
I actually don't remember what he is on Yahoo. He's actually, so Yahoo and FanDuel, I like Lamet. He's 37 on Yahoo. He's 8,200 on FanDuel. He has the second highest strikeout percentage on the slate this season behind Bieber. So I think that's pretty appealing. He's pitching in San Francisco. So, obviously it's not the best strikeout matchup against the Giants, but it is a great park for run prevention. The only real negative for Lamet is that outside of the start where he took a no-hitter into the 7th inning and threw 104 pitches, he's been pretty limited right around 90 pitches this year. And there's no real reason to think that San Diego stops doing that because they have no reason to. So where, on DraftKings at 10-7, that's a real issue. But at 8,200 on FanDuel and 37 on Yahoo, I think that for the second highest strikeout percentage on the slate, he's pretty underpriced.
All right. I could see it. I don't want him on DraftKings, but where you're talking about FanDuel and Yahoo, it totally makes sense to me.
I guess I am obligated, since Alex isn't on the show, to point out that Madison Bumgarner is really good at hitting.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Channeling your inner Alex Baker. I like it. Yes, he is. Best hitter in baseball? Best hitting pitcher in baseball?
Definitely better than Jeff Mathis.
Oh, that's actually not even a debate.
I know. He's better. Greinke's better.
Yo, I got a good one for you, right? Of all the starting catchers in the league, right? How many do you think Madison Bumgarner is a better hitter than? I'm not asking you to be exact, but
yeah,
given the quality of the position at hitting.
At least, did you say starting or all catchers?
Well, no, you know what? Let's go the 1s and the 2s. So let's go the 1 and 2 of each team. So 60 catchers.
Probably like 2.
I don't think so. I give him better than out of 60, 12.
What do you think his WRC plus is against right-handed pitching?
Well, he doesn't listen. He's not in the groove. You got to let this guy hit every day.
Okay, so you're saying if he was a regular position player,
if he was
not
a hitter, yeah.
Okay.
If he was actually a hitter, I think he'd be.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm with you then.
He hits balls in the 20th row at Oracle.
His numbers are actually a lot worse than I thought they were.
This year or ever?
So since 2017, he has 92 plate appearances against right-handed pitching. He has a 46 WRC plus, a .099 ISO, and a 43.5% strikeout percentage.
So he is Jeff Mathis.
Yeah. But no, I agree with you. If he actually if he was a hitter, I think he'd be good.
Right. He doesn't I can't imagine he practices hitting, right?
Right.
Right. So that'd be interesting to see. Maybe he'll retire from pitching and start hitting one day, and we can settle this once and for all.
We just need him to pull a Rick Ankiel and not be able to throw the ball to the plate anymore.
Just get the yips and start throwing it into the moon. Yeah. That's one of the wildest stories ever, by the way.
And then that he made it back to the major leagues.
Yeah. If you go on and watch the documentary and they show him throwing with batters at the plate and it's going literally 50 feet away from the plate.
Yeah.
It's one of the most remarkable things too. Any hitters do you like from this game?
I don't think a one-off of Machado or Renfroe is crazy. They're both cheap. Machado's 11 on Yahoo. He's not. Renfroe's 9. They both are just really good hitters, but again, there's a million good hitters on this slate.
Okay. It's kind of weird that there's a Hunter Renfroe in the NFL, except there's one letter difference.
Yeah, I was talking about that with a friend 2 nights ago. What are the chances? There's I think 2 Renfroes I can think of in pro sports, and they're both named Hunter.
Think they're brothers?
Yeah. Did you see the 2 minor league pitchers that have the same name, look exactly the same, and aren't related at all?
Stop. No, really?
Yeah, I can't remember what their names are. They were
different teams, right?
What'd you say?
Different teams, right?
Yeah, different teams. But they look the same. They have the same name. They did a DNA test and everything, and they're not related at all.
Same last name or same full name?
Same full name.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to look that up. That's great. Okay. Top stacks here before we turn it over to our boys with the Live Before Lock show. Stay right here. 2 shows, 1 link, and you've already clicked that link. So you're here with us up until 7:05 Eastern time. The only thing I regret is that I didn't give Josh the opportunity to play his commercial music, his break music that he was vigorously searching when I came on. Maybe, you know what? You'll have a couple minutes, Josh.
Spoiler
right?
alert, man. Don't be telling the people they got new beats.
I didn't say you got new beats. Maybe you searched and didn't come up with anything.
That would be really depressing for everybody.
What? Well, my apologies. I didn't know it was a secret. Anyway, Jake, Harry, and Josh Engelman are taking you up till 7:05 lock. Adam and I will close it out right here with our top stacks. What do you got?
I like with ownership how it is right now, Houston and like a lot of other teams. I guess Atlanta.
Okay.
Or no, the Yankees, Houston and the Yankees.
Oh, awesemo.com. I think it's Brett on the Twitter handle. Good stuff, bro. He just tweeted out, if Madison Bumgarner were an everyday player, how many current MLB catchers do you think he would be a better hitter than? And he made a poll.
All right, cool.
I'm answering 13 plus. All right. So
here's the name of, or the names, those two minor league pitchers.
Yeah, let me hear it.
Brady Feigl, Feigl. Like
Spell
not
it?
even a common name.
Spell it again.
Feigl. They're both 6'4". They both have red hair and red beards.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. Brady, your first name Brady too. That's not, I don't know. Maybe it's a West Coast thing. I don't know any Bradys around my way. That's something else.
I think I knew like one or two growing up.
Yeah. Brady Quinn. Never met him though.
Right.
I still really like Colorado. I mean, it is, and I know what you were saying earlier isn't that you don't like them, just that they have, a lot, like double ownership almost anyone else. Pittsburgh and dude, Minnesota should be higher owned than this. They should. Even if they're 6%, they should be higher owned. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks as always for hanging out with us and enduring some of the ridiculous stories and anecdotes. Actually, I don't know if there were any anecdotes. It's just a fun word to say. Josh and Jake are coming up next. Live before lock. Adam and I will be back with you on Monday, Labor Day. Deeper dive. We don't take breaks on the holidays, man. We'll see you back after the weekend. Have a great holiday.
Looks to be a mixed bag on the new beats, but we're going to be trying out new stuff every day. We'll get there, I promise. What's up? Live before lock, Friday, August 30th. Jake and I going 5 for 5 this week. I think we're going to put it away with a big day.
Yeah, I think we're going to close it out like Mariano Rivera, strong. It's going to be a good one, man.
I'm pumped. What am I getting tagged in here? Brett's trying to get somebody to rap over these beats. I'll do it, man. Don't worry about it. I got bars. I've got bars.
Certainly do not.
I mean, I think that I could write well. I don't think that I could perform well.
I could not do either of those. As far as
a lot of people saying the old beats were better. That's fine. We're gonna get there.
Nobody likes change. Relax. You guys are fine. The beats, just think a couple weeks ago we didn't have any beats in between shows. And yeah. Everyone loves the first one, right?
I got you guys. Don't worry. All right. Live before lock is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. If you want to get Awesemo Plus, now's the time to do it with NFL season starting this weekend. Use the promo code Live Before Lock, get 50% off. We are brought to you by Fantasy Draft. Go to FantasyDraft.com, use the promo code Awesemo. You can get $1,000 in rake-free entries on your first 7 days. Rake-free, completely. Every single cent is coming back out for the contest you're entering. And you can get into $1,000 of contests while you do that. That is a staggering amount of rake saved compared to industry averages. Just do it. I couldn't recommend it anymore. Seriously. FantasyDraft.com, promo code Awesemo. You can save a ton of money. And why wouldn't you want to save money?
I mean, I want to save money. So I'll be playing some rake-free contests. And you guys should too. So now is also perfect time to sign up for NFL. I think we still have our early bird discount going on until tomorrow. If that
sounds right to me. NFL early bird is the promo code.
September 1st. So there's 31 days in August. That's right. So you guys got to sign up in the next 30-ish hours if you want to take advantage of that.
What are you doing with Max Fried?
Not playing as much of him as I thought. I mean, I'm playing a lot of Max Fried right now, slightly over the field. But it's like I think he's an awesome play, but the ownership and trying not to get duped lineups is a big thing tonight when I'm playing some chalkier bats. And he's really chalky for a 15-game slate. 14-game slate.
Yeah, I got to 42% on the dummy crunch I ran during Deeper Dive. I assume that I'm going to be in that 40% range. I'm pretty happy about being there. He's just on a different level value-wise than any other pitcher on the slate. So where I need to be today.
Yeah. I saw Adam had like 80%. Is that right? Earlier today when he was crunching?
Or earlier today, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's like kind of where I thought I was going to be. And maybe I will still be. Maybe he'll come down to like 42. I would love that. But yeah, if he's going to be 50%, it's hard for me to make a major stand on that. I think Fried's the best pitcher on the slate, the best play. Yeah. But he's also by far the highest owned. So it's difficult.
So we'll get to hitting exposures in a bit, I guess. I'm not really getting to a ton of Rockies or Pirates, so I'm not super worried about my Fried ownership at this point. I'm happy to get him. Lots of other teams, but we will get to that. Bieber, Nola, Bauer, Bumgarner. How much are you going to be in that top tier?
Bumgarner. Yes, that's the one I like. At least, I like Bumgarner on FanDuel quite a bit. I do like him on DraftKings as well. It's not like a play you have to make or anything like that. he's 10-2. It's not that favorable of a price, but it is a good spot against San Diego, and obviously a great park. I'll play anyone in this park. And Bumgarner's been better, a lot better than what I've given him credit for. So he's the guy I'm getting up to when I'm getting into the 10K plus range.
I'm probably going to start running my crunches. We only need the Dodgers lineup yet. And while I like the Dodgers today a little bit, I don't necessarily need a ton against Zach Gallen. And on a 14-game slate, I'm going to need every minute I can get to run these. So I would rather just make individual adjustments for the Dodgers if, I don't know, Justin Turner doesn't play or something.
Right. Yeah, I think you're pretty safe crunching. I crunched before the show, and I don't think I've got a lot of lineups with missing players, so that's always nice.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't look, but I'm just going to start from scratch now.
So is this like the McKay spot? Like, I don't think this is like the McKay spot a few weeks ago when everybody yelled at us.
I mean, it is in that it's a pitcher that has a price tag that isn't correct, and he's getting owned because he's functionally the best value on the slate, which I agreed with before. The problem with the McKay spot was that people didn't have enough major league data to go on. So they talked themselves into something different. But in theory, to me, it's the same thing.
I suppose. Yeah, I mean, just at a base level, I guess. Pitcher that's underpriced in a really good spot, it might not work out, but like you got to be playing this guy if you're multi-entering. I think if I was 3-maxing, maybe you don't have to go 100% on him or something like that, but you should be getting exposure to him in some fashion. And then, like, this is not like you could have banked with who's McKay going up against that slate?
Seattle.
Yeah, so you could have banked. It was like a shorter slate, and you could have banked with Seattle. I agree with what Adam was saying and what you guys are saying on the MLB strategy show earlier this morning. You don't necessarily need to play the White Sox if you're not playing Fried.
Right.
So many other teams tonight.
Like Adam said it on the show, it's the same case for me. Fried's my 4th highest projected pitcher overall, but he's $3,000 cheaper than the 3 guys that are ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a no-brainer for me. It makes no difference how Max Fried plays today. I don't care at all. He's simply just the best option.
He is the best option. He's the best value by a mile of anybody in his range. So, like, if you look at the projections on the site, so you've got 5 out of the top 6 guys in raw points are 10-2 or more. Yeah. And then the only other guy is 7.5. So you're paying 75% of the lowest price pitcher there. It's just kind of crazy for how good of a spot this is. And Fried's good too. I think McKay is going to be good if he's not already. But this is a spot where you got on the next morning and you talked about I would have done the exact same thing, or maybe it was in Slack. And, you're basically doing the exact same thing, playing a lot of a 50% owned pitcher on a large slate.
Yeah, I expect his ownership. I expect Alex to have a lot of him because, when you have someone at a price point like that, at such a disparate value to everyone else, it's just what has to be done. It's like playing chalky stacks that also have a higher top stack probability. Sometimes it's just the right thing to do, and I think that's what's going on in this case.
Are you foreshadowing for the rest of the show? Because I like the sound of
that. Not really. I'm not playing those stacks all that much.
Oh, you're not?
I don't have I won't have a ton of Colorado or Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's spicy.
I got like 30% Minnesota on my first crunch. Minnesota, Yankees, Red Sox, Oakland. There's just too many teams at the top. I'd rather be 5% over double the field on 6 teams and slightly under on the 2 chalk course teams today. There's just too many options.
I mean, if you want to make a stand on Minnesota, tonight's the night to do it.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty under-owned in the top stack tool, which is free today, by the way.
It is free.
I just want to go check that out. Let's see where they're at. They're, 3rd most under-owned team right now. Their margin isn't as big as I thought, but they still have a decent shot of being the top value as well. If you're looking at DraftKings, FanDuel, it's a little bit different story. where they're pretty fairly owned. By the way, we just got ownership, if I didn't say that.
Dope. I will check that out shortly.
Fried came all the way down to 48.
Oh, don't do that to me, man. I got really excited.
Yeah. I think so. This is one where, like, I think in the whatever tournament it is today, the $11, I think in the $11, he might be like 44%. In higher stake stuff, he's going to be like 60 plus, I think.
Yeah.
Like maybe 70. But like in the mini max, he might be like under 40. So I'm not that worried about it.
No, I'm not worried about it at all. But I won't make a single change to Max Fried based on our public ownership.
Yeah, agreed. Just the best play. Get him in not as many lineups as you can. You want to make some different combinations, but I would be getting him in a good chunk of lineups, even if I'm going underweight on him.
You grab that updated ownership right now. What else can we touch on here? So let's move it down a little bit further into salary tier. Kyle Gibson, Zack Wheeler, Annabelle Sanchez, another group of 3 guys that all have similar ownership. Anybody stand out to you in that group?
Who'd you mention? Gibson, Wheeler? Did you mention Wheeler?
Gibson, Wheeler, Sanchez. That trio in the high 8, low 9 range that are all 18, 19%, something in that neighborhood. Oh, Wheeler tumbled to 9 now.
Right. So he's a little bit more interesting. Let me refilter and then see what I got now. With Wheeler now at 9, those other 2 guys you mentioned didn't change very much, but I don't know. I think Wheeler's a good pitcher. And that's half the battle in this range. I don't think he's crazily overpriced. It's not a great matchup. He's got a 5 implied total going against, but you can see a scenario in which he's getting strikeouts. Gibson's just overpriced, I think, on DraftKings. On Yahoo, we talked about him at length because he's just the best play. He's Max Fried. He's what Max Fried is on DraftKings over on Yahoo.
Very true.
Like, you just play Gibson as much as possible. If he ends up in all 10 of your lineups, I don't think that's terrible. If it doesn't work out, that's another thing, but you would expect him to have a really solid start. I just don't think he's all that necessary at 9,500. Who was Annabelle? Yeah. You wrote him up in Spotlight Pitchers this morning.
I did.
I don't have a strong take on him. I have him at 17%. So
I have 22 on my last run. He's my second best value on the entire slate behind Fried. And like I said for the past couple days on this Live Before Lock show, I will blindly play pitchers against Miami. This is no different. Only, I kind of just wish Annabelle Sanchez was cheaper than 8,800.
Yeah, that'd be the thing. Like, if he was, let's see, if he was like where Fried's at, I think he'd make for a really logical pivot because they project pretty close to each other. But you would get a pretty different ownership on those guys. But $1,300 when you're talking about Coors Field and Houston and Minnesota, that's going to force Annabelle out of a lot of those lineups where if he was a little bit lower, I think I'd probably get over the field on him.
We touched on Fried. Below Max Fried, we have 1 pitcher in double digits in ownership. John Means at 11. Who's your favorite guy below Max Fried?
This is someone that I play a lot, and
Hernandez.
Yeah. So, there's actually 2 guys. So there's Hernandez and Suarez that both, when you use Alex's projections, they're just going to be higher than a lot of other spots, I think. I think his numbers just think that those guys are better than some more conservative projections you might see elsewhere. So I'm fine playing Hernandez. It is a bad spot against the Nats, but he's 5,700. So I feel like I talk about, like, I say those exact words about 3 guys every slate, but it's kind of true. Alicia also does have some strikeout upside, just being a decent strikeout pitcher. The Suarez one is the one I don't get. outside of just having under 5% ownership. Like, I thought this guy should be 0.1% owned, 6,200 going up against Boston, and he's not a good strikeout pitcher, but he's someone I'm playing a little bit of.
I had 9%. I've got like a handful of Suarez, Skoglund, Alicia, Brett Anderson, Agrizal, Senzatella. I'm casting a wide net at the bottom here.
How about this? I got 7% Edwin Jackson.
Okay, that's just outlandish.
That's not great.
No. You get to use his stats from 2007?
You get to use 2 innings of that perfect game start. Or, do you have a perfect game or no hitter? I can't remember.
I don't have the slightest idea.
He's just 5K, and I should probably have less than 7%. Just because he's so bad. He's so limited in what he could actually do.
He's not great,
But, on a slate where everyone's overpriced, I don't think he might even be overpriced if you think about it. But
he is.
Not as much as these other guys. He might be 10% overpriced or something. But
he, Trent Thornton, and Ivan Nova are the 3 worst values to me. I'm assuming I didn't even look at his projection. No need.
I got to scroll way down here. Let's see. He's projected for positive points. It's a nice step in the right direction. There's no pitcher above him with the higher raw point projection. So, if Senzatella was projected for 6 points or Agrizal was projected for 6.2 or whatever, then I would be playing one of those guys. But he's the worst option outside of Coors, and I'm still getting to him. That's how much I think bats matter to me tonight.
I'm getting so much Minnesota. I'm so pumped.
Kind of jealous. The team that could break the home run record, and you're playing them against awful 95-year-old Edwin Jackson. And
man.
Smashing the Coors chalk.
Yeah, I'll be under on both. I got almost no Colorado on the first run, but I wasn't very comfortable with that. Actually, I think I probably need to stop crunching. What are you doing with Cardinals Reds?
No, right now I'm not playing it.
You pulled it?
Well, I didn't pull it, but they have 40% postponement risk, I think, in the projections.
I need to pull that game right now. I need to stop my crunch.
So let's see. Bauer. So I would get to a bunch of Bauer instead of Bumgarner. That would be the one thing that could swing things, but I think you just don't play that game. You don't have a smash pitching spot. You don't have value anywhere. I guess you have value Cardinals bats, but they're going up against Bauer.
Yeah, I'm yanking every bit of this game right now. I forgot to do it. I saw Alex's tweet before and just totally forgot.
Hudson's a ground ball pitcher, not a strong candidate to get blown up, especially on a slate with 25 other pitchers in other games, or 26 other pitchers. It's none of these teams are on my radar for hitting, so I don't really care about it. So I'm just gonna go into FC right now and filter that one away.
Yeah, I removed it from my sheet. I'm gonna start over and crunch. That'll change some ownership caps and stuff for me, but happy to do it. Didn't want to get to a team that I shouldn't have. Any other pitchers popping up for you that you didn't expect to see today?
I mentioned Alicia. We kind of brushed over John Means. He's fine. Outside of Fried, my exposures are pretty flat.
Okay.
A little aggressive on Alicia. He's almost pushing 30% right now. A little aggressive on Suarez. Price plays for both of those guys. Would like to get more Means up there instead of those two guys, or at least get them closer together. But no, I think those are the main guys. I mentioned Edwin Jackson. I don't endorse that play at all, but that's just what I'm doing. So if you want to ride with me, you get yourself a sprinkle Edwin Jackson, I suppose.
I'll probably have like 1 or 2%.
That's more than enough.
No, yeah, I'll be fine with it. I'll be fine with it. Okay, let's start these crunches over again. 26 teams now. That'll work.
It'll make it go a bit faster too.
It will, thank God. I mean, I'll need like the next 25 minutes to do all of this. So,
well, we got 40. We got 40 left. So.
Oh yeah, I know. But 25 minutes. I mean, to run the crunches, and then we'll be good to go after that.
Yeah.
That's different. Oh, no wonder. All right, got to start over again on DraftKings, and I keep making mistakes. That should be at 100. That should be at 3.9. God. I was getting to a little bit of Bieber earlier. I'm kind of hoping that continues.
He's just so expensive.
It really is.
He's got to be so good, like so much better than everyone else. Like 35 points type of thing. And then you got to find the cheap stack also with him. And it's like, do you really want to allocate 20% of your lineups to Bieber and trying to stack up like the White Sox and I don't even like Arizona? I mean, Arizona's not terrible, but like a team in the San Francisco game or something like that in order to afford him? Because I really don't.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
Yeah. So you guys hear me beating a dead horse every day. 5 days straight about expensive pitching and me not wanting to get there. Outside of very rare scenarios, I just don't often get there because like DeGrom last night, he didn't pitch poorly.
No.
But he was a non-factor in the slate.
He didn't have the Clevenger start.
You need the Clevenger start or close to it.
198. Yeah, that's right.
We just got Dodgers, by the way, so don't start your crunch just yet.
All right. I already did, but
okay.
I mean, I can stop it now. Turner's in the lineup too, so good to know. Probably could have kept going. I don't know if it looks any different or not. Jock's still leading off, so that's really all that matters to me. All right, Dodgers lineup is in, which means every single lineup is in, everybody, which means you guys should hit the like button because when the lineups go in, you should hit the like button. New tradition on this show.
I like that tradition.
Lineups in, hit the like button. Like for lineups.
What are we in? We're at 143 right now.
It needs to be 200. Stat.
Yeah, I mean, 1/5 of you have liked this video that's watching right now.
Yeah,
I think we can get to 200 in the next few minutes. I think we might be able to reach 300 today. I think everyone's feeling generous on a Friday. Going into the weekend,
holiday weekend. Evidently, I didn't know that.
Maybe a long weekend for some people. Not for us, but that's part of the job. We just got projections, so a lot of good things going on. Someone was getting on you or whoever was running the YouTube account for asking for likes, but I have no shame.
No, not at all. It's a reminder for likes. It's not an ask. Just like hey, don't forget that there's a thumbs up button that you could hit that doesn't affect you at all, but helps us out tremendously.
Yeah, and if you've got a couple burner accounts, feel free to fire those up as well. Maybe hit the subscribe button, see when we go live, the bell.
Jake gets it. All right, FanDuel is in, and
new ownership too,
and we crunch it. I don't need it for my crunches.
Okay.
I set this up so I don't need ownership for crunches.
Free jumping up there.
Great.
To 50.
Not better.
Not going to change anything.
6:27. We're a little early, but I think we probably need to just get into it now since it's a big slate. Dong pick time. I believe that we only got one yesterday, and boy, was it a doozy.
Starlin Castro.
Starlin Castro goes yard 4-1. Chris Randone. Here are the current standings. Jake and Emac tied at 29. I've got 25. Chris Spags at 22. Randone at 10. But the most important piece of all of this, Jake in first in pick rate. I am in second in pick rate. Emac in third. Chris Randone in fourth. And bringing up the rear, one Chris Spags.
Bag's gonna be so mad.
Gonna be so salty. It is as good as it gets right now. Spag's bringing up the rear.
He's gonna be so mad.
I know, it's great, right?
Man. When's he on next? Tuesday? No, Wednesday.
I truly have no idea. You would know better than I would at this point.
Yeah, I should know. I think it's Wednesday, so you guys will see his long-awaited return, and maybe he'll still be at the bottom of the barrel for pick percentage.
One would only hope. So, Jake, the floor is yours. Feel free to do it, man. There's plenty of options.
Yeah, we're going to the same team, I would have to guess. So
you might not be right.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be a homer, I suppose, and take Eddie Rosario.
Ooh, not Nelson Cruz, huh?
No, he's let me down too many times. I mean, you can have the double dong tonight. I'll just get 3 from Eddie.
I don't want to do that because I feel like it's a cop out for me.
No, it's not. It's a good pick. Take Nelson.
I am. And Nelson Cruz.
Don't change your pick because of me.
Nelson Cruz. Randon's on Sam Travis.
All right. Fair enough. So he's on some Red Sox, then I would have to imagine.
Nelson Cruz. Jake, you've got Eddie Rosario?
Bro, Rosario been so bad lately. Yeah, well, so was Aaron Judge. And things turn around for people. So.
Yeah, we'll be okay.
I'll live if Eddie Rosario doesn't get me a dong tonight.
Any more picks? We got anything in from EMAC yet? Where's Eric? Eric is typing.
All right, here we go. He usually types a little note for why he picks. So we'll see what he's got to say.
Eric is typing. Honestly, I really wanted Matt Adams, and I think that's who EMAC's about to go with.
Yeah.
Oh, he went Max Kepler.
Nice. So we've just got all the Twinkies.
I really do like Matt Adams, and I think I'm going to regret this one.
You still change your pick if you want.
I'm good.
Yeah, you can't swap off Nelly Cruz.
No, because then he'll triple dong for real.
Yeah.
I would have way too much FOMO for that one, man.
That would be pretty brutal if he triple dong and you got off him. I mean, I should have taken Jordan Alvarez that one night. I was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. And boom, triple dong.
So I think it's about that time that we start talking about hitting. And I'm going to pull up my workbook right now, but I basically have everybody that's not the chalk today. I am going to be light on Colorado. I'm going to be light on Pittsburgh, and I'm going to be very heavy on Minnesota, along with just a gaggle of teams at the top. Astros, A's, Red Sox, Braves, Nats, Yankees, Dodgers. Give me all of these guys as much as I can. And I'll take like a little bit of a discount on the ownership on the Rockies and Pirates. And for sure, going to take a little bit of a discount on this unruly Royals ownership that is happening. Talk to me a little bit about Core's game, though. What's your status?
Wait, what do you mean about unruly Royals?
They're like the third most owned team on DraftKings.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like they were going overlooked. I was like, what?
Exact opposite. They are being looked at way too closely.
Value's crazy in MLB DFS. Like, this is a 15 game, 14, possibly 13 games, like, whatever it is.
You got it.
The Kansas City Royals are getting almost 9% total ownership on DraftKings. I mean, what are we doing there? That's in an event-based sport, that shouldn't be the case, but it happens night after night after night. If there's an expensive pitcher, they're getting 20% ownership, an expensive good pitcher. And then you have to, people just constantly fill in with San Diego and KC, and Miami gets 5% ownership like every night.
Yeah, I am just going to have massive amounts of basically everybody else at the top.
Yeah.
When I refreshed the crunch during the deeper dive, it was like 38% Minnesota. I was like, okay, that's a decent spot to like just make some adjustments. That's where I'm at right now.
I feel like that's like I feel like Tom doesn't play a lot of the chalk. It feels like he doesn't play the chalk as much. Like he doesn't subscribe to like the play everyone theory as much. It's like this feels like a night where he just goes crazy with the Twins. It feels like that kind of night where that style of play does really well. If Coors busts, of course.
Let's hope.
Like Minnesota could score, Coors could score 14 runs, but if Minnesota scores 14 themselves, which is a realistic possibility, Coors won't matter.
Correct.
So, all right. So speaking of the Coors game,
yeah,
that's going to be my highest exposure.
Colorado or Pittsburgh?
Colorado, yeah.
Okay.
And I want to get to more Pittsburgh. I'm getting to some, not a ton of Pittsburgh though. They're good spot against Senzatella. I mean, we've got two guys that have difficulty missing bats. Massive implied totals, says it all. It's Colorado just does have some more value, and the thing I like about them is that they're not over-owned. They're pretty fairly owned right now, but still a great chance of being the top value, the best chance on DraftKings tonight. There's no reason that I'm seeing to get away from them. They project incredibly well using the projections on site. So, yeah, just love Colorado. Pittsburgh is a distant second, and then Minnesota is third.
Yeah, so like I do like Colorado. They're third for me. I have a ton of interest. There just happens to be so many teams at the top that I think are going underrepresented, and the only way for me to really get them is to give a little bit of a haircut to Colorado. Still get there, 7-8% aggregate ownership, and then sprinkle all of that extra 2-3% across all those teams at the top.
Yeah, man. If Coors displays, you're going to be a genius.
I mean, I'm a genius whether that happens or not.
There you go. There's that humility that we saw on stream this morning. Or I guess what would be the word? Humility? Is that the right word?
I don't know. I don't have it.
I don't know. It's Friday after 5 straight LBLs.
Dude, I'm really tired of hearing my voice in my ear, and I'm sure you're real tired about hearing it too. It's just a lot.
I'll run it back tomorrow though. Me and Emac.
Sure.
Fresh blood on the stream, so I'm sure Emac will get me going.
Let's see. Ownership update. Max Fried plummeting to 49%.
Yeah, my God. Weather bad in STL now. Yeah, so just to be clear, you're not playing that game.
Correct. I will have absolutely none of that entire game. I'm anxious to see if that matters at all. Like, just not having it in my crunches.
I mean, yeah, it's going to matter. Because even if you were getting 5% of a couple players, that's still going to completely change that entire lineup, or at least the way the optimizer works.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's definitely going to swing some things, especially if you accounted for leverage. I think Bauer was getting some ownership. So
I have to start my DraftKings crunch over again.
Oh, no. What'd you do?
I had the count pitcher as part of stack box checked.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I've done that for slates and just forgotten about it, because I've done that 400 lineups in and had to restart a bunch of times. So I'm sure I've forgotten to uncheck that.
That's about to get really problematic now.
I wonder why that's still a default.
I don't know. I wish that I could just remove it entirely.
It'd be nice if you could change your defaults for your preference.
I don't ever check that box in any scenario. So,
no,
look, I don't think it's going to matter all that much. We still have 27 minutes. So.
Right. For hockey, they don't have that for the goalie. So I wonder why they don't have that. They have that for the pitcher still.
And I'll be able to finish, FanDuel's fine. I didn't screw that up. So I can put FanDuel to bed while DraftKings is running and then just finish it off. So
just tuck FanDuel away in their bed.
Yeah. Any stacks standing out to you that aren't really getting any love? Is there anybody that you're trying to get to that is low from the public?
How about Houston?
Yeah, they're my number 2, man.
So are they getting love right now? It
No.
feels like they're getting
4.3% aggregate ownership on DraftKings.
Yeah, that's no less than that. I'm seeing. When's the last time you updated Top Stack?
3 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's still too low.
Yeah, I'll have 12.
Yeah, man. And it's not like I love them more than Minnesota or
Minnesota. I'll have 24.
Yeah, they're just, man. It's one of those things. Like, if one of these expensive stacks go nuts, your Shane Biebers aren't going to matter that much.
No.
Your Nola is not going to matter that much. And you're going to need to make your living with Fried and Sanchez and guys like that in the mid tier. Like Thornton, I don't think is terrible. But the Houston lineup is so damn good that anytime they're going to be low owned on a big slate, if you have exposure to them, you should probably feel good about it. It's like Minnesota. So much upside.
From a value perspective, every single hitter in the lineup except for Gurriel is at least average or better on a dollar for dollar basis for the entire hitting.
Are they really?
For me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I would imagine, that's not too far off for most.
Right. The reason they're not getting ownership is because you don't have the great $3,400 value batting sixth like you often do in a stack like this.
Yeah, they're pretty costly up and down the board.
Right. Can you hear people talking here?
Just barely.
Okay.
I can't hear it. I just know that it's happening.
I'm going to the state fair tonight. So a bunch of people are at my house. Shocking, I know.
You know what's really crazy? I will know someone that is at that state fair.
The Minnesota State Fair.
Yes. My father-in-law's girlfriend is in Minnesota to go to the state fair.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
State fair's fun. You guys have something like that?
Yes, we do.
I don't know. Like,
I do not go to it. I've been once. Yeah.
Is it far away from you or?
Hour and a half. I mean, it's near my father-in-law's house, but I can only walk around and eat so many fried Oreos and turkey legs and shit. So.
Yeah, turkey leg. I get the big turkey leg.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I don't know. It's a good time. You just go and drink, and I'm going with a huge group. They're all downstairs. So
hopefully is my father-in-law's girlfriend there?
It might be
hanging out at your place. I met this guy named Jake.
Yeah, he came with like a group of 20. Something going on there.
Yeah. So yeah, if you happen to bump into her and randomly see a person that you've never met before, that's who it is.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, only I just happened to see her Facebook status just before we came on this stream. She travels a lot.
Oh man.
Let's talk about some other stacks that are getting some ownership at the bottom. Marlins 5.5%. Padres 6%, Royals 8%, Diamondbacks 4%, Rangers 5%, Blue Jays 4%. You like any of that stuff at the bottom?
Royals value is a little hard to overlook entirely with 150 lineups. So like Whit Merrifield, just a good hitter against lefties. Yeah. I got a few shares of him. I'm sure I got a few KC minis. Other than that, though, the teams you mentioned, like Randon's boy, I got 4% of. So there you go. There will be very small sprinkles of those teams, those overvalued teams. And hopefully those lineups are unique enough based on my ranking system that it doesn't matter that much. So long-winded answer is no, I don't really have much of those teams.
Yeah, I will not have more than 1 or 2% of anybody below the Orioles, probably.
Yeah, it's just play the mid-tier and high-tier guys tonight. That's what I'm doing. What about a team? Well, I guess I'm getting to some of this team, but Texas against Marco? What do you think?
I won't have much. I think they're overowned. How are they looking on the Top Stack tool? By the way, Top Stack tool free today. You guys should be checking that out while we talk about it.
You are correct. A couple percent overowned.
Yeah.
Decent chance above average chance of being the top value. So there's some appeal for that. They're not as over-owned as KC and Miami and San Diego and teams like that. But, yeah, it's whatever. I mean, what about, like, looking at some of the under-owned teams on the top stack tool? What about, like, the Yankees? Are you in on that at all?
I think I'm only going to be able to really get to the field. I think they're a little over-owned or under-owned as well. I know that they're not showing up a ton in my crunches, so I would probably have to do like a auxiliary crunch for some extra Yankees. But I think that I could at least match the field, and that's really all that I'm looking to do then. They're 8th for me, so where they come up in top stacks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they're 6th. Yeah, I can get there. I'd like to get a little bit more if I can, but when I was tweaking earlier, I couldn't make more show up.
Yeah, I didn't like. I was just looking at Aaron Judge. And I got like 3.3%. And I was like, that doesn't feel great. But you can't have every spot tonight. I mean, you can try, but you're just gonna spread yourself too thin, I think. So
starting the slow one now. After 500 lineups, I'm on to the 4-4s on DK. So
those things just crawl. I'm on 4-3 on DK. Oof, pretty rough, but what do we got? 20 minutes here? Yeah,
over under Engelman has 10 lineups duped in the mini-max today. I would say over.
So is that something you ever look at? I know this isn't the strategy show. Maybe it's better suited for that, but when the question comes up, it's got to be asked. Like, do you look ever at just in lineup study, how many lineups did you have duped?
Not often.
Because like Alex, the times I've checked, it's like very few lineups are duped for him in these tournaments where he's playing with a bunch of awesome players.
Right.
And that's tough to do in itself. So
I mean, it's going to be tough to do in the mini-max one way or the other because there's 50,000 people in it or 50,000 entries in it. It's, if there's 15,000 entries in the $11 or whatever it is, I don't really know the number off the top of my head. There's just naturally going to be less. There's going to be more duplication in the biggest tournaments because you have more opportunities to be duplicated.
Yeah.
It's not something I pay too much attention to because I don't really know what I can do to stop it from happening. Aside from looking at individual lineups.
Right. I think in baseball, like in other sports, I would care more. Like NFL. Like I would feel not great if I had a bunch of duped lineups in a week 1 main slate.
Yeah.
In hockey, it's bound to happen if you stack the way that a lot of people stack because you're taking 3 guys at a time. You're basically playing 2 lines instead of 8 players or 10 players.
Basically just comes down to like a one-off defenseman and a goalie, right?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I mean, you're a 2v2 for the nuts or like the wrong goalie away from, winning $100 compared to $20K. Like happens all the time. But like in baseball, you've got 8 different hitters for each team. So even if you double stack, there's ways to get different, but I didn't know if that's something maybe I should be looking at more. I haven't looked at it lately, but when that guy said that, it's an interesting discussion to have, I think.
Yeah, and like on a day like today, I mean, it's really difficult to get duped on a massive slate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. It's way easier to get duped if you're playing the same projections as other people and not changing randomness or anything like that. You're naturally going to land on similar stuff. So I think I should be good on that end. Somebody said mini-max is so hard to win. I would say that it's the most difficult contest to win in the industry.
Yeah, and just clarify what you mean by that. It's not the sharpest tournament.
No, it's essentially like the biggest combination of a lot of people that are really good are still playing in that haven't met any of their entry fee limits. And then it's a 50,000 entry tournament. So like it's just naturally difficult to win a contest that big. Like I think the mini-max is sharper than the quarter on FanDuel. They're both comparable in like their size. But I think the mini-max as a contest is a more difficult contest. Because more people are trying to play $150 and $37.50.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that. But it's like whenever I see myself getting duped, I'm just like, God, I feel like such a fish.
Oh, yeah.
I get a lineup near the top and I'm duped. even in a big tournament like that, I'm like, I should be better.
I've never really noticed it all that much in baseball. I've never had a sweat where I had somebody attached to me, unless it's 4 games late, 5 games late, something. But on something like this, I can't even picture it.
Right.
Any ownership in the last couple minutes? Yes. No, 633, the last one. Okay.
633. Yeah, I think I got that one in, so we're good.
If I can get this draft, I'm just going to kill my DraftKings crunch at 655, I think. And I think I should be good. I'm up to 575 lineups, so getting there, man, getting there. The 4-4 is just crawling.
Rinpack asked an interesting question, actually.
Hit me.
Addressing you. What will you do after you meet the entry fee limit? So I think he means the $1 million in winnings on either site. I don't know if it's the same on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, I know it's if you have $1 million in winnings, meaning money you've taken back from DK, even if you lost, you can't get in tournaments any longer that are under $5 and under $25,000 of total prizes or something like that.
I'll reallocate that $150 to something else. I don't know, the 4C. I don't know. It doesn't. Just play a different contest.
Fair enough.
I'd still try to play close to 150 lineups in a night. I would just have it in a bunch of different stuff. I'd probably increase my volume. Honestly, I would probably start playing a bigger contest.
Yeah. So like for me, it'd be like increasing the volume is great, and I don't know when I'm expected to hit that. If it's anytime soon, I have an idea of where I'm at, but I haven't mapped it out. But like for having to be forced to increase your entry limit sucks.
I should probably do it anyway. I just don't.
Yeah, probably. You should. But it's as soon as you do it, like you got to be in on doing it. Like you have to commit to doing it. That was like the hardest thing for me. I was playing like lower stakes in NHL, and then you lose the first few times you up your stakes, but you have to be able to ride out that variance and not pick and choose nights where you want to play higher stakes type of thing.
Oh, I mean, I look at it like I just have to care more. There are so many days where like if somebody gets scratched on DK, it's just like, I don't care. I'm not going back to fix it. I just don't.
I feel like I care a lot about that, so maybe we're different.
It's just not a concern of mine. But
Fair
if
enough.
I bumped it up, I would have to pay attention more because I would have more skin in the game. I want to win because it makes me feel better. I don't care at all about like my results really. The money is irrelevant to me. I like feeling like I can beat this. I get a lot more out of that than I do out of the financials from it. I just waste the money on something stupid anyway.
Yeah, we've talked about this. They've heard us talk about this. But
not
like,
even just that. Like I'm gonna buy video games or like Wagyu beef or like I'm just gonna buy dumb shit with profits. So I don't know. I really like being a nerd in Excel. I really like digging into data, and I really like the challenge of trying to beat a game with a massive, massive rake.
yeah, it's difficult. Definitely boosts the ego, and then gets brought right back down after a nice losing week or month or season. Yeah. So
All right, FanDuel Crunch is done. DK still cruising in the background. 4-4 done. 4-3 gonna run for the next couple minutes. Terry Wilson, must be nice to be rich, Josh. Not rich, just comfortable. We just paid off the wife's student loan this month.
Nice.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend's going through that right now. Not fun.
Shits are brutal.
Yeah, they're bad.
I still have a bundle to go because I financed bar tabs and video games for 4 years. Not my education. Alrighty, FanDuel Crunch in. Let's go ahead and refresh and see what is about to happen for old Chubster on FD.
The nuts is about to happen for the Chubster on FD. Remember last year we always talked about Fridays were our best days?
Still the same thing for me.
It is not the same for me. Like,
At least I think it is.
Monday,
I haven't looked in a while.
Monday's like my best day, it feels like.
All right. An untouched crunch, just refresh, sorting with my default. 29.8% Twins on FanDuel. 9% Stros, 8% Rockies, so half the field. 10% A's, 10% Braves, 9% Pirates. So time to tweak.
I don't think you need to tweak anything there.
Oh, I don't need to, but I'm going to pull the Twins down to redistribute a little bit more to some of the other teams at the top.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So like I barely got the Yankees. I'd like to see how much I can get there. Like even if I bump them up to a stupid amount, I can basically only get to the field, and it's essentially all one-offs. On a different day, I would probably run a little bit more to get more Yankees, but not going to happen. Going to try to get a little bit more Dodgers. That actually worked, so I'll take that. Under on the Nats, but I think they're a little over-owned, so I'm willing to stay there. I feel like I probably don't have enough Rockies, so I'm going to bump that up.
Yeah, man,
I'm a little under. Look, I have 11%. They're at 16. I'm not like I think that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So when you're underweight like that, when you got 2/3 of what the field has, and you've got 15 lineups or whatever, 17 lineups, you've got 11%. So it's not like you're drawing dead if they go off.
Right. Okay. I think I could work with this. Very little Mariners. Let's walk that back. Let's bump Indians and Mets and see if that works at all. Didn't. Guess I don't have those guys. That's fine. Royals. Blech. No, thank you.
Yeah. Just like a 5-man Royal stack. You want to do that on a slate with the Twins, Astros, and then Coors with 6.5 implied totals. Whew. It's tough.
All right, there we go. I like those FanDuel exposures. I'm going to let it rip. 22% Twins.
All right.
DraftKings is just north of 700 lineup, so I think this is going to work out from some timing. Jake, what are you seeing? What are you getting on your FanDuel crunches?
Yeah, okay. FanDuel is already in. FanDuel is locked and loaded for me.
Look at you, man. I'm good at
this. Hella Coors. So much Colorado. All right, let's see. My top 6 exposures are all Colorado bats on FanDuel. Story, Hilliard, Arenado, Desmond Murphy, McMahon. Then, predictably, Max Fried. Only getting 11% ownership. Is that correct?
On FanDuel?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh my God. Did you see what Brick just sent us?
That's what I have. No, I did not.
Unreal.
Wow.
Are you looking at the money saved?
Yeah.
That's unreal. Yeah. Britt, how long have you been playing?
I assume you don't mind if we say that on the stream since you posted it in Slack?
Just, wait for him to respond. But how long do you play? How long have you been playing on FantasyDraft, I guess? Unbelievable.
I won't share the screenshot or anything like that, but no. I would like to mention what he just did to the people on YouTube. Let me know if he says go for it.
You can't get 100K down in a month on just head-to-heads unless you want to play Papa Gates. Wow.
Okay, you said go ahead. So Brick75, I'm sure you've seen his name in contests, but just posted a screenshot of his FantasyDraft account. And he has saved his rake-free. He has saved via not paying rake on FantasyDraft $10,500. That's how much he's saving by not paying into some of the other sites with rake. Check that stuff out, guys.
Yeah, in a few years. So like he obviously plays a lot, but like you can't play that much volume on FantasyDraft right now. I mean, the contests just haven't been that big.
Right.
Oh wait, but I guess that's only been tracked since it's rake free. So that's like a matter of a couple months.
It's not a long time.
But
unreal. It's also like, it's a testament to how much gets charged.
Yeah, like when you see that, it's like, all right, I'm paying. If I play $1,000, I'm paying DK $15 or $150 a night.
Yeah.
Before I even get to play. So it's like, oh man, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Go fantasy draft. I hope this keeps up.
A staggering amount.
Yeah, I'll be playing their week 1 NFL contest, and hopefully week 2, week 3, week 4, and so on.
All right, DraftKings Crunch finished. I've got 7 minutes to go. I am feeling froggy right about now. It's been 1 month. That's so much Drake.
For what?
It's been 1 month.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, here's the refresh. DraftKings Crunch edition. Twins ownership on the raw refresh. 34.4.
I mean, I'd rather be where you're at than where I'm at. My highest Twins guy is 10%.
4% Rockies.
That's wild.
I mean, I'm bumping it.
Yeah. Let me...
Dude, I can't bump it any higher than like 5%.
Really?
It's all... Did I run this incorrectly?
Oh, that's always a fun feeling.
No, they're in there for 5-man stacks. It's all one-offs.
Really?
Yeah. 42 one-offs. 1 4-man stack, 4 3-man stacks. I think I'm okay with that.
All right, here's my exposures right now. Max Fried, 54%. My next 8 players, so every Colorado hitter, are my 8 highest owned players after that. And then it's Alicia, Bumgarner at around 25 each. Wheeler is at 12%. So I don't have anybody between 12.7% and 24% exposure on DraftKings. And then I've just got a bunch of people between like 5 and 10.
That's not bad.
So like I've got, like I can just tell by my exposures, like I've got at least 5-6% of every Twins hitter. So like I'm gonna have Twins 4-mans and hopefully some Twins 5-mans and Atlanta 4-mans and same thing, but everything is gonna revolve around Coors, Colorado specifically.
I've got like 24% Twins right now. I'm like 13% Astros, 10% A's, 10% Braves, 7% Nats. I've got some Orioles I'm not super upset about. I think I'm going to have to call it here. Pitching exposure we could touch on afterwards. 42% Fried, 16% Hernandez. Got a lot of Senzatello, which I'm not really proud about.
So you're technically under the field on Fried, but not in the spirit of being under.
No, I still have 40-something. 27% Annabelle Sanchez, 14 Gibson, 17 Matty Bum Bums. Got a little bit of Bieber, a little bit of Nola. I'm kind of spread out.
Nothing wrong
I'm
with that.
avoiding all of the ownership on Rangers, Blue Jays, Padres, Royals, essentially. All right. I'm feeling pretty good.
People are asking, who's Brick 75, Papa Gates? Just look at the top of the leaderboard for like a week straight, and you'll see those guys.
Yeah, you'll figure it out real quick.
But they're a couple of the top players. Brick's in our Slack.
Brick killed a guy.
I know that reference. Is it Steve Carell who says that?
No, he is Brick.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So he's Brick.
Yeah.
I've only seen that.
Will Ferrell says it.
Yeah.
I think. The way that I remember it.
I think you're right. Now yeah. Brick says, not playing on fantasy draft is wasting money unless you want to play in big tourneys and or versus the big boys. Michael in chat says, wait, let me make sure my lineups are updated.
Yeah, let me get my DraftKings stuff in here, and then we can start talking about overall exposures. Sweet.
All right. DraftKings lineups are in for me. We did not get another ownership update, but we have everyone in with the lineups, the correct lineups. Explain rake, man, because if I'm playing a buck, isn't it that just my money going into the tournaments, or how does it work? So rake is basically you're paying a percentage to the house. If you think about it in like a sports betting term, you're paying a percentage to DraftKings and FanDuel when you are entering a contest, they automatically get a cut of that. And their rate is 16%. FantasyDraft is a flat rate for the month. So if you're playing only a few dollars a day, you can get their lowest subscription, and you might pay, I think it's like $15-20 a month. So that's all you pay for the month. You get rake-free contests, and you're still going to more than make up that amount of money. So even if you're only playing a few $100s a month, it's just, it's free money. So.
Think about it like this, and this is going to be overly simplistic, and it's not technically right for a head-to-head, but let's say Jake and I want to bet $10 on a head-to-head for DraftKings. We both put $10 in. We're not getting $20 back. We're getting $18.
Perfect. Better example.
$18 gets paid back out to the winner. $2 goes into DraftKings pocket or everybody else's pocket, like whatever the provider is that you're using for that one. It's bigger in GPPs at lower stakes. It's a lower number at the higher stakes, but still not great. But ultimately, they're shaving a couple bucks off for the ability to host that contest.
Yep. For their fee, like whatever they pay to run the site.
Yeah.
Or profit. You know, if you're greedy, like some other sites out there, won't name names, but DraftKings FanDuel.
I have basically no Pirates.
Paul Blackburn of the night for McCod. Mine's Alicia.
Antonio Senzatella.
There we go. All right, man. This is going to be a good one.
Man, I've got some wonky ownership. 6% Brett Anderson happened.
I think so I put 50 lineups in that $10 or $11 on DK. I think every single lineup that I see in the top 50 of my rankings has a Colorado bat at least. And it looks like all of them have at least 3.
My highest owned Colorado guy on DraftKings is Story at 7%. Meanwhile, I have 15 plus on everyone in the Twins. Oh, I forgot I made the summary table. I could look at it. Okay, so my most exposed team overall, both sites, basically double everybody else. Minnesota Twins. Then it's the Astros, the A's, the Braves, and then finally the Rockies are 5th. I'm not mad about that.
It sounds like a good spread of exposure.
Yeah. I'm happy to still have the Rockies be near the top.
Yeah.
Most exposed hitter for me across both sites: Jorge Polanco. Number 2, Eddie Rosario. Number 3, Max Kepler. Number 4, Miguel Sano. Number 5, Nelly Cruz. A lot of dong picks in there.
Nelly Cruz, baby. Wow. Did you see Adams' exposures?
I'm about to.
Check it out.
That's a lot of Max Fried. Yeah, so I think that I'm making a mistake. That's a lot of John Means. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's the one. So like I figured you'd have a ton of Fried.
I think I made a mistake not manually bumping Max Fried's projection or his ownership cap when I ran my crunch to get to that sort of number. I think that's the mistake that I'm making on this slate today. Instead of getting 90% Max Fried, I have a lot, I have scattered amounts of all of the garbage below that. And I think I'm casting too wide of a net in pitching. And I need to set a higher pitching cap.
Yeah. I mean, Adam's got some balls. You got to do that to take down the top heavy prizes.
Yeah.
So that's what your exposures probably should look like. If you believe Fried is the best play by a long shot, which he does. So, yeah, I mean, good for him, man. Means is the one that I think was the more interesting one. 51% Means he's got.
I assume that I made. Yeah, I didn't have Means in my crunches.
I got Means, I think, in like the mid-teens or something like that. But
I should have. He's literally not in Cruncher for me.
Why?
I have no idea. I didn't notice it until right now. We're locked, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. Weird.
Yeah. That's kind of not awesome. Which is weird. I mean, like, I obviously uploaded a projection. Not really sure.
I don't know why that would be.
Because he has a good value. So, like, I know that it's not correct. Did I just not refresh the screen? He's not on my DraftKings Fantasy Cruncher right now.
He's on mine. I don't know. That's so weird.
That really scares me from a rest of my lineups perspective, because if John Means isn't showing up in the entire player pool,
did you uncheck?
I'm on all.
You couldn't have unchecked Baltimore, right? Because then
no, I have Baltimore bats. What this is telling me is that I didn't refresh the DraftKings screen, which makes me think that I probably missed a lot of players.
I mean, it could be.
Do I have any really weird zeros in DK ownership that wouldn't make sense?
He's excluded in the pool. No, he's not.
He's in the excluded pool. No, he's not.
I see him right now on my screen.
Yeah, I assume that I didn't refresh the... He's in here as Dylan. Dylan Bundy is in the excluded pool, but John Mean, if I search for him, is not there. So I wonder how many bats I didn't get to that I would have thought I would have got to. Look, if it's just Means, I'm not worried about it. If John Means beats me today, I'm going to be all right. Like, I got 0% Sheldon Noose, which seems kind of weird to me considering I'm 4 times the field on Oakland. So he clearly wasn't there. I got no Sandy Leone. That seems surprising to me. I don't know. It's my fault, so it doesn't matter. Let's get out of here. Hit the like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Jake, anything else?
I will be back tomorrow on Live Before Lock with your old pal. And be around all weekend if you guys want to chat and Slack. Yeah, it'll be a good Labor Day weekend.
Go enjoy a turkey leg. Guys, we'll talk to you later.